Are you too ready? How we can be mindful of appropriate use of technology. So, Too Ready, the acronym READY, is presented by Matthew Joseph in 2020, and today we will be working through a derivation of it using articles and research by other leaders in digital citizenships. Our outcomes today: what does it mean to be too ready? Am I, as a teacher, too ready? And how can I help my students be too ready? So what does all of this mean, the acronym READY? So Joseph presented READY as remind, encourage, accountable, demonstrate, and yes. And so in drawing some summaries from the articles that were presented, we kind of collected some other words to encourage in there and found there could be two letters for each one of these, so too ready. So remind and responsible, encourage and exercise, accountable and access, demonstrate and determine, and yes and yours. So remind, so what does it mean to remind students? So reminding students of the permanence of what is posted online and shared online. Discussing how the internet works is vitally important. Reminding them of the policies and procedures in place for using their technology, accessing their technology, as well as what they can do to protect themselves, protect their passwords and different things like that. Also reminding them that people read their posts and that they're real people. So in one of the districts I worked in, it was the front page test is what we always talked about. And I know one of the articles also talked about that as well, which is, would I want this shared on the front page of the newspaper, or would I want this presented as a clickbait article shared on a social media or website? And then what should not be shared, reminding them of how what we post online is there and everybody can see it. Responsible, I think that this is both for a teacher and student standpoint, so establishing boundaries. So from a teaching standpoint, that could be providing good links or topics for students to do, being sure that what we're providing them works and is appropriate. Responsible for how our data is managed as well. That could be our passwords, that could be what it is we're saving stuff to. Also, as teachers, need to be consistent with consequences, also consistent with the processes that we're using to access the technology, responsible with our use of time, and where and when it is okay to be on technology too. It's having signs in place in your room, or having a means by which students know, hey, this is technology time and this is non-technology time, or how do we transition from those times? So encourage and exercise. I like this kind of clip here. Constant novelty saps my innovation. I'm going to try to spend a weekend at home without internet. I give you an hour. Clicks, turns it off, and then communicates with the person again. It's actually working out okay. Wait a minute. So what does it mean? Encourage. Encourage dialogue among students and face-to-face about their internet time and what they have learned, right? So maybe it's that debrief and that reflection that, okay, this is what I learned about my topic. This is how I did it. This is how I did. So they're actually talking to someone and why that's important. Encourage students to try and find ways to connect with others in an offline experience, right? So also encouraging them to play games with each other and do other things. Oh, you're playing Uno online. I have Uno cards. Let's play Uno in person. Also encourage them to report links and dangerous or illicit sites that are being allowed. And encourage them to, engage with adults about like, hey, I don't know if this is something I should be looking at. Exercise. I think from a student and teacher's perspective, exercise is important both when we're talking about like physical exercises, but also things that we do with technology and those habits that we do. So show students how to move around after using technology for long durations of time. That could be setting timers. That can be some stretches that they can do. Also good habits when using technology, being sure that we're exercising good lighting, postures, the font sizes, so that way things are easily read and easily found. Also, exercise variety in searches and words. Show them how to brainstorm first before they go on a search engine. Using the thesaurus or different other tools that may be online that they can utilize to help them in their endeavor to learn and research or find topics and articles. Accountable and access. So what am I accountable for when I am on the internet and logged into my computer? Am I doing personal communication on a device I do not own? I think that's a huge question for students to wrestle with, as well as teachers. A lot of us use our technology to do personal things and conduct personal business. And is that okay? Is that not okay? When is it not okay? And having those dialogues about like what is ethical to do on the computer and what is not. Those are important things to discuss with your students, because they may go somewhere and work somewhere where it's not okay. You have a personal device and you have your work device, and those cannot be mixed. So there's those. Do I have my passwords and data protected? Also accountable, am I staying on task and where I should be on the internet? How do I lock that in, and how do I account for that? Do I need to turn off my internet so I can actually use my technology for word processing only? Access, I think as teachers and educators, it is vitally important that we know that our what we're providing to our students, that not only can they access it, that it's appropriate, that it has the necessary accommodations for students as well. So can I access the sites and programs I need to, right? Checking it both at school, checking it at home before you share it with students, so that way they can be sure that it's working. Is the site I'm using accessible to all? So can it be translated to multiple languages? Do they have the ability to read it out loud to students? Do they have to pay for it or not? Do I need other software or hardware to accomplish my goal, right? What else do I need in order to do what it is I'm doing? From a teacher's perspective, is how do my students access technology when they're at home, or can they, right? If you're assigning something to students to do at home on their technology, can they access it at home? And then from a student perspective, how do I access technology at home? What if my Wi-Fi is not working? What do I do if something is happening? So problem solving and troubleshooting with them, so that way they know what the process is for that. And then also, as a district leader or a building leader, knowing that Child Internet Protection Act and why that's in place, it is required, and why that's important for children and as a school to do. Demonstrate. I think this is one that we assume because we work with with people who are called digital natives. So first off, we need to demonstrate flexibility when technology is not working. That is probably the hardest thing to do. So rule of 3 is what I like to try to encourage my students, especially when I had students trying to do speech to text. I said, try it 3 times. If it doesn't work, type it in or ask for help. But if you try something 3 times, various ways, things like that, then that maybe it's not working, or you need to go figure out how to ask for help. Demonstrate the use of programs and software through in-person and digital lessons or videos. I think that is vitally important as well. Taking the time to really learn a software. I wouldn't unroll a software or a program without exploring it myself, knowing what I needed to do if I'm just doing something basic with students, or if I need them to do something more elaborate. I think it's important to demonstrate that, show what it looks like, show what the end should look like as well. And then at the same time, I also think it's important for teachers, when we do unroll a new program, allow time for play, and allow time for students to play around and maybe demonstrate something else to you. Demonstrate proper citation and accessibility options in your own lessons and content. So, citing the pictures that you have, citing, allowing audio play or video play of things, closed captioning, all of those sort of things that you need to do that. And then determine information literacy. Is the site credible? Is the information correct? How are you being successful with technology, and what information needs to be shared? So I think those are things that we need to look at as teachers, and helping guide their students to answer those questions. And there are various frameworks for determining whether or not a site is credible or not. A lot of times our library and media specialists are great people to turn to for that. Finally, yes. And yours. So yes, I love how Joseph encouraged the idea of yes, right? Embrace new technology, try something new, think outside the box, be a classroom or a culture of yes. If someone presents to you a new idea, or something like that, then we need to be sure that we are accessing that and also like embracing it, exploring it. Then I think the other thing is students, is it yours? Show students the proper method for citing electronic sources. When do you give credit to things, or when do you not give credit to things? Which most of the time, if you're asking yourself, do I need to give this person credit? Then the answer is yes. But also just showing them how to copy and paste things appropriately, so that way they're not infringing on other people's copyrights as well as their property. So hopefully through this, you've been able to see kind of how you can make your classroom too ready and make your students too ready for technology. These are the references that we used in kind of creating this acronym. And then those are my summary statements.